Hey, what's up guys? Today, I'll show you a sci-fi thriller film, The Jacket. Spoiler ahead, watch out and take care. The movie begins during the Gulf War. Jack and his fellow soldiers are under attack, and one of them calls on Jack to apprehend a little boy. Jack reluctantly agrees and calmly tells the boy that everything will be fine. Suddenly, the boy pulls out his gun and shoots Jack in the head. Moments later, Jack is brought to the emergency tent, where he and other wounded soldiers are being treated. The field doctors declare him dead until he opens his eyes in tears. They hurriedly call another doctor to treat him. After his treatment, the doctors tell him he suffers from amnesia and possible psychological suppression. They discharge him due to his condition and tell him that he is eligible for a Bronze Star. He returns to Vermont 12 months later. While walking down the road, he notices a broken-down pickup truck and a mother and her daughter on the side of the road. He assesses the mother's condition and asks the daughter to keep her mom awake while he fixes their car. The mother vomits on the side of the road, and he shifts the daughter's attention to him by asking her about the snow. The daughter then asks him about the dog tags attached to his pants. He explains that it's used to identify people who are lost. She asks if she could have them, and he gladly gives them to her. He tells the daughter to start the ignition of the car, and he manages to fix the car. The mother gets on her feet and tells him to stay away from her daughter. She gets her daughter inside the car, and Jack heads back on his long walk. He keeps walking until he manages to hitch a car ride to the Canadian border. But before they arrive, a policeman pulls them over. The scene cuts to Jack in court. It turns out Jack is being accused of murdering the policeman. His former superiors and a medical professional were called to the stand to testify that he has a mental illness because of his war injury. But Jack insists that someone else did it. The court rules in favor of Jack on the grounds of insanity. However, even though he's not charged with the crime, they commit him to an institution for his mental illness. The guards take him to his small cell, barely enough to fit both his bed and a drawer. He spends his days mostly in bed, drinking the medicine the staff gives him. Occasionally, he sneaks a cigarette when no one is looking. One night, the medical staff barges into his room, tapes his mouth, and gives him an injection, causing him to be in a numb state. They lead him to the lower floors of the institution and strap him into an operating table. He tells the doctors that he doesn't belong here. One of the doctors, named Becker, tells him he doesn't believe he belongs here either, but none of them could do anything about it now. They put him inside a small dark area. Jack tries to break his restraints, but he starts reliving some of his memories during the war. He cries out for someone to get him out of there, but no one does. 3 hours later, they finally let Jack out. Becker tells Jack to blink if he can hear them. He does, but he still has a fearful expression on his face. In the morning, Jack watches TV in the common room along with the other patients. A patient approaches him and asks if he is the one who killed the cop. He takes offense to the question, but the stranger tells him that it's all over the news. Jack asks the stranger what he did to get taken to the institution. The stranger tells he tried to kill his wife. He adds that he tried to do it 30 times, until his wife finally got him admitted. Another doctor named Lawrenson notices the stranger talking to Jack and immediately approaches them to ask what's going on. They tell her that everything is fine. Later that night, Jack pretends to cooperate with the staff, but grabs the straps they put on him yesterday and attacks one of the staff members. They manage to restrain him and inject a dose of his medicine before they throw him back to the small dark area. One of the medical staff approaches Becker and asks him if they really should be doing this to Jack instead of giving him help. He explains that they are giving help and the medicine they gave him would adjust his violent tendencies. He also tells the staff member that the small dark area is the only way they can monitor the effects of the medicine without anyone getting hurt. Later, the medical staff member from earlier considers letting Jack out, but ultimately doesn't. Jack continues to relive moments in his life. One of his memories is him following a woman named Jackie, who just left a diner. Jackie offers him a ride and asks where he wants to go, but he simply says he doesn't. Jackie takes him back to her home. She tries to call anyone who might know where Jack leaves, but no one does. Jackie accidentally shatters a wine glass, which makes him uncomfortable. Jackie offers him a place to stay for the night. Jack tells her his name, but Jackie shrugs it off and tells him that she doesn't want to know who he is. Jack puts together dinner for the both of them with whatever he can find from the fridge. Jackie thanks him and offers him a drink. She compliments the food he made, then later passes out from exhaustion. Jack gives her a blanket to stay warm. He notices his dog tags hanging on the wall and realizes that Jackie is actually the unknown mother's little daughter from before. He looks at the pictures and confirms his suspicions. He wakes Jackie up and asks about the picture. She tells him her mother passed away years ago. He is in disbelief and asks what the date is. She tells him it is 2007. She tells him to leave, but he continues to tell her that he is the man who gave her the dog tags 10 more years ago. But she tells him that the man is already dead and that from the present time that Jack is in, he will die in 4 days according to some report. Jack snaps out of the memory. The medical staff brings him out, but they find him passed out, so they put him in an IV because he is severely dehydrated. Lawrenson finds Becker outside of the institution and asks him why he gave that kind of medicine to Jack when he clearly didn't need it. She accuses him of turning Jack into a lab rat to test the medicine on, but he simply tells her that he won't fail just because she failed her previous patient. In the evening, the guards bring Jack back to his cell, still unconscious from his experience from earlier. The next day, Jack is staying in the common room, still with the IV bag attached to him. Becker approaches him and tells him that he was asleep for a whole day. Jack gets angry at the doctor, telling him that they stuffed him inside with restraints. He simply tells Jack that he is delusional. He then tells Jack that he's the most resilient patient to have ever taken the treatment and tells him about a previous patient who also escaped prison by pleading insanity. Jack takes off the needles attached to his body and escapes the common room. He wanders around the institution and manages to get outside, where he tries to find a way out of the institution. Lawrenson chases him and tells that he is not delusional and he needs to get back to the institution so that she can help him. But Jack tells her that he is reliving those memories and that they feel real. She asks how the treatments with Becker are going, and he simply tells her that they make him feel like a different person. She convinces him to come back because they would punish him if he ever left again. Later, the stranger patient and Jack are eating. Jack asks him about what exactly is happening in the basement. The stranger tells him that they restrain people and inject them with medicine and put them inside the small dark area. But for the rest of the time the patients are inside, they begin to experience things within their mind. Jack tells him that he found out that he will die in 4 days, and the stranger concludes that the things they experience inside could take them from memories of the past or forward into the future. He tells the stranger that he needs to get back inside so that he can find out more about his presumed death. The stranger reveals that he was also put into that treatment, but once the staff noticed his suspicious actions, they took him out of the treatment. A few moments later, Becker gathers the patients and asks them to share experiences. He tells the stranger to share his experiences, and the stranger goes on to tell a long story about how he is approached by an organization who asks him to become its leader. The other patients tell him that he is lying. Jack tells them that the organization is indeed real and that they ordered him and his fellow soldiers around during the war. The stranger and Jack cause a panic among the patients. Several patients riot, causing the staff to restrain them all. In the evening, they take Jack from his cell and throw him back inside the small dark area. He struggles for a bit, but eventually starts to get visions of the past. From one of the visions, it turns out he didn't kill the policeman, but the driver who offered him a ride did. After killing the policeman, the driver wipes his fingerprints off of his gun and drops to Jack lying unconscious in the snow. He focuses once more and gets a vision of his childhood and finally projects himself into the future. In the future, Jack goes back to the diner and talks to Jackie once more. She tells him that he dies of a gunshot wound to the head. She also tells him that Becker used a banned experimental practice on his patients, which turned into a big scandal. The two of them travel to the institute to find more clues on how Jack will die. The doctor tells him that he dies of blunt force trauma to the head. He also reveals that Becker is gone, but Lawrenson is still alive and could answer his questions. They ask Lawrenson questions about Jack after he introduces himself as Jack's nephew. But she finds it uncanny that Jack looks exactly like the patient she had met years ago. She mentions that Jack helped her with a patient who was her friend's child. Jackie asks how, but she simply says that the process is complicated and it was already a long time ago. He asks her if she knew how he died, and she tells them it was from blunt force trauma and that Becker would have known more. The two of them leave. Jackie tells him that Lawrenson is lying and Jack agrees. He takes her to the basement where they conducted the treatment. Suddenly, a patient comes in and asks what they are doing here. Jack recognizes him as one of the guards and asks him how he died. The guard tells them that he doesn't know and starts breaking down crying. A staff member comes and tells the two of them to leave the area. The two of them head back to Jackie's apartment, where they spend a hormone night together. She tells Jack to come back in the future no matter what. He explains that he doesn't have control over time travel. In the morning, Jackie wakes up and finds that Jack is no longer there. Back in his time, Jack wakes up with an IV bag attached to him once more. He finds Lawrenson by his side. She tells Jack that she can't help him unless he tells her about everything. Jack tells her that he can see the future. She tells him that he is simply delusional. He then asks about her friend's child, who she is treating. She refuses to believe and simply tells him that he is delusional. The staff take Jack back into the small dark area, and he travels through time once more. He meets Jackie, who's surprised at his sudden appearance. She tells him that she knows where Becker is. She reveals that the child of Lawrence's friend was having constant seizures, and it was treated by shocking his mind to stop the seizures. They finally track down Becker at a church. He approaches him and reveals that he is Jack. Becker is in disbelief at first, but quickly accepts the situation. They ask about Jack's cause of death, to which he simply says he died from a blow to the head. The doctor offers no more answers. Jack starts screaming in pain and comes back in time. Back in Jack's time, he wakes up to find Becker pulling him out of the small dark area. A few moments later, Jack is brought to the room where he is hooked up to another IV bag. He tells Lawrenson how to cure her friend's kid. Later that night, Lawrenson tries the method Jack told her and prepares to shock the child's brain. After a few moments, the child could finally speak and the seizures have stopped. Lawrenson comes back to Jack and tells him that she will do whatever is needed to help him out. She takes Jack out of the institution for a few hours, and they make their way to Jackie's old home. And Jack knocks on the door. A young Jackie opens the door and lets Jack in. He talks to Jackie's mother and gives her a letter with everything he wants to say. Before he leaves, he tells young Jackie to be good. The mother reads the letter of Jack, telling her all about what will happen in the future, including her death because of her cigarette addiction and Jackie's bleak future as a waitress. They make their way back to the institution. Jack tries to step out of the dark, but he slips on the ice, banging his head on the ground, which is the exact way he will die as is told. The doctors take him back to the basement as his last request, and for one last time he goes into the small dark area. Because of Lawrenson's help, Jack travels to the future one last time right before his death in that time dimension, and he meets Jackie all over again in the future dimension. But this future Jackie is different because the letter he gave her mother made all the difference, and so changed the future. Jackie's mother is still alive and was able to raise Jackie and support her. Jackie is now a nurse, not a waitress, who's living a much better life than when Jack last saw her. Like before, Jackie notices Jack and they strike up a conversation. The movie ends with Jack getting in her hormone-smelly car, and they drive away. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.